And welcome to the Big Gunner Podcast. Well, here we go. Today is the 22nd of July, and today is when the Veterans Report and training camp is now open. Exciting times for an optimistic Giant fan here. Hopefully, we're all on this together, maybe with a little bias, but I really believe this is going to be a really good upcoming season, just as long as we get off to a good start. So, two words to comment about training camp and the start of this year: stay healthy. We have to stay healthy. That's it. So we're going to start off today by having some interesting news I just caught on the web that FanDuel is reporting that the number one bet team to win the Super Bowl is, you guessed it, the New York Football Giants at 2,300. So if you bet $100 bet, you get back 23,000 if the Giants win the Super Bowl. That's 230 to 1. That is as high as any number I can ever remember the Giants being starting the season. I think 2 years ago after the playoff year, we were 40 to 1. Some cases 35 to 1. This is how far we've fallen. And then continuing on that line, I would like to say that I saw that ESPN came out with the top 32 NFL rosters, and we fell at number 27. I'd like to go over some comments basically that ESPN gave on us. Number one, the player to watch out for was Cordell Flott. And I found that to be very interesting as a backup corner that looks like that we went after. With Flott getting starts last year, I think he started 10 games. We went after improvement in that position. And the fact that Flott's contract is up and they say he's up for free agency and that this could be a pivotal year for him, I found it very fascinating that he probably won't be in our top five to start the season. DBs on the field. So if we play a basic nickel package, it'll be Drew Phillips because of his tackling ability and enforcement in the run game. I think that's what makes him, a more logical choice to play there. But Flott, a very thin, small corner, has played okay for us. I love having him as a depth corner. A quarter number three on the outside. But I was surprised that they went that direction. They also said our weakest unit, which was our offensive line, which I kind of agreed to. And then it goes back to the big test here. You heard me emphasize this. I can't emphasize it more about the health of Andrew Thomas to start the year and to finish the year. I think if Andrew Thomas finishes and plays all 17 games, I think we win more than 5.5 games. I just believe that in my heart of hearts. I think we're better at the quarterback position. I think we're deeper. We're better at defense on the defensive line. I think if we could put a draft together similar to the one we had in 24, I feel there's depth on this roster. I said one of the interesting things going into training camp, I think there's only 2 draft picks that aren't on the roster right now that Joe Shane has drafted since 2022. Another thing I saw was Greg Van Roten. GVR was listed as our right guard, which means that Evan Neal probably would. I'd be shocked to see if Neal is become a starter if we even give him a roster spot or try to move him if his right guard experiment isn't developing. They commented on the fact that John Michael Schmitz has been kind of somewhat of a disappointment. He needs to step up here in year 3. I think when we drafted him, we thought he would be a steady center. I said along the lines of a Creed Humphrey type, who was drafted the year prior to that and who signed a big deal with Kansas City. I just feel like these second-round picks, we have to get something out of them. And Humphrey being John Michael Schmitz being a very important part of the offensive line. Center's a big position, key, calls the signals. So we just need a little bit more out of him. I think if he can improve and the health of Andrew Thomas, I think we're steady in the other positions. We're going to have competition at right guard. I like Eleanor at right tackle. I love what we have at left tackle. It was obviously when I attacked that pick instead of drafting Tristan Wirfs, who turned out wins a Super Bowl in his rookie year, was a right tackle with Tampa. I felt that Andrew Thomas was a little bit of a reach, but it turned out to be the right move. I feel like he's as good as any of those left tackles that we had in that draft. And we just got to get that foot healthy. So we're hoping that he can be around for week 1. The upcoming unit, they did say the best unit we had was our defensive front, which I think will cause a lot of problems. The Giants have been at their best when their defensive front produces. Go back to 86 with Leonard Marshall, George Martin, and Lawrence Taylor. Jimmy Burton in the middle. We had a dominant run-stopping, pass-rushing defensive front. In 90, I think our defensive showed up in the San Francisco game when we saw the way we hit. And then we put together a different lineup when we dropped 9 in coverage and rushed only 2 in the game against Buffalo, forcing Kelly to think more, make decisions, and let Thurman Thomas go wild. An unbelievable game plan that won us the Super Bowl. We know what happened in 2007 with Tom Brady, and when Umanura and Strahan and Justin Tuck and the interior of that line went wild and put a ton of pressure on Brady and stealing what probably would be, maybe since the Jets, I would say the Jets Colts Super Bowl and Super Bowl III, the biggest upset in Super Bowl history, the Giants knocking off the Patriots. And then I would say along the same lines in Super Bowl, 46 with JPP, who had been playing very well, and Kiwanuka, and what we had there in that line with Tuck, getting a second ring. I think the Giants' defensive front has always been a big part of the Giants' success throughout the history of this team. And I really think that if we can get that kind of pressure and play well against the run, we need to be better against the run. Our defense has got to keep us in games. We don't have to have Russell Wilson win games for us. We just have to have him not to lose them earlier on. And hopefully with his experience and his, Super Bowl, his playoff experience, I think hopefully we can get to a point where, we don't have to really think hard about Jackson Dart early on with some wins and some success. But I think it's going to come down to how we play a run game. I thought we were a little bit lower graded at 27. The Jets came in at 28. We were 27, which I thought was interesting. We are the second lowest win total at 5.5 under, laying 155. There's a lot of 5.5s, but the juice on the under would shade. When you say that, a juice shading the under, meaning you have to lay a big number to get paid 155 for 100 on under 5.5. So the price maker is basically shading the fact that the Giants should be under 5.5. And they basically just think the schedule. And we have a toughest schedule in the league to win record. I think I heard something come out by Adam Chernoff of Right Angle Sports, who basically said that he thought that the schedule should be done differently, that it should be done on the full basis of not divisions, but on the basis of record. So it would mean we would have probably home and homes against some of the weaker teams, which would be interesting instead of doing, that means the Chiefs and the Bills would have home and homes, and we would have home and homes with the Jets and the Browns and the Texans. So I don't know how that would work. I think that's kind of a reach, but I love the division rivals. I think it's great for fan base. I know I emphasize division games. I love that we're starting off with two of them. Would prefer to have them at home just to get the positive energy with the crowd, but I think really if we can get a split and then come home with the Kansas City game on Sunday Night Football, I think that crowd would be electric. I've been watching some podcasts. I think I saw a good one on the 1984 group and Big Blue VCR, which I think is my favorite X channel on X that talks about the old Giant videos that I get to see myself in 84 and some of these old CBS Madden and Summerall doing our games back then. And they did a very nice piece, and I said the same things as one of the guys on the show that basically said that he feels a lot of similarities going into this season as compared to that 84 year, coming off a 3-win season, drafting third, picking a linebacker in the third pick, Carl Banks being the pick in 84, Abdul Carter being picked then. And I will go on record, and I've said it before, that I felt that game two, said it last week, the Andy Hedden fumble, game two, Dallas is down. We're up 14-0 against the Cowboys. There's a second and goal, I believe, is the situation. And Lawrence Taylor hit a blindside blitz and hit Gary Hogan, the quarterback of the Cowboys. He fumbled, and Andy Hedden picked up and ran 79 or 81 yards for a touchdown. I thought at that point that game was over. And I can remember me having a conversation with Bill Parcells leading into that, and he says it in the Super Bowl speech when he says, things could have went the other way. We're going leading the end of the 83 into the 84 season. And some of the questions is Bill and I used to throw a football around on Saturday practice. One of the superstitions was do the same routine. And we were out there throwing the ball around one day, and next thing you know, he tells the equipment manager to let me go with him. So at 10 o'clock before a 10:30 Saturday walkthrough, he and I would go on the field together and just play catch. And I'll never forget those days. We always had big discussions. And one of the discussions I told him is that I thought he did the right job picking the quarterback this year, picking Phil Simms and trading Scott Brunner. And that was Bruno was a quarterback in the 81 playoff game when we went to Philly, and then we lost eventually to the Super Bowl champion 49ers. And then in 83, Bruner was the start. He picked Bruner to be the starting quarterback on the basis of that experience and left our number one pick in '79, Phil Simms, on the bench. And Simms, who had struggles with injuries. Today, when you think about it, similar to Daniel Jones, today if Phil Simms would have had these injuries that he had then, I don't know that the Giants would have stuck with him. But back then there was no free agency. You didn't just dump players with potential. You kept them around. The draft was a very important part of team building. And that's why they had 12 rounds of draft picks then. You basically, it was a different format to run the league. So I thought when my throw catches and telling him about that, I thought it'd be good. But he asked me what I thought of training camp, and I said, I think we're going to be really good this year. He said, yeah, you do. I said, yep. So I think we did a good job, and I think we're going to be better. I just look around, and that's what I see. Now, he only asked me that because I had been a diehard fan, through the late 70s, which I started really paying attention to it after the stadium went to East Rutherford, New Jersey in 1976. And then when I went to games, and my family had tickets. So I was at these games watching the team as a fan. And then when I got the job with the Generals, which led to my job with the Giants, the New Jersey Generals of the USFL, I was an assistant locker room attendant for visiting teams. And then I went over to the Giants, and the Giants had knowledge of me. And and I've said this on other podcasts, obviously, so you can go back and listen to them if you're at all interested. But yeah, no, it was basically we had talked, and I thought that we were on the right spot. And then when we had that play, I really felt like listening to the crowd, and the guys who were at that game were saying how loud that crowd was that day. Beating the Dallas Cowboys at home was something we just did not do. We did it in '80 with Mike Freedy. Then we had it in '81. But I think up until then, I don't think we beat him for like 8 years prior, but then we beat him 2 years in a row. A 30-35 game, which was a shocker. And then we beat him to get in the playoffs. Joe Danello with a field goal in overtime on a Byron Hunt interception. And that's when you knew that, we had a chance and we were going to get better. And then we had the strike short in '82 season, and '82, Ray Perkins left for Alabama, which was talked about on this podcast, which is very interesting. And I haven't gotten through it all. They were breaking down game by game, but the big play for me for Bill Parcells' coaching career, and I would like to talk to anybody about this who has knowledge, was that Taylor sack fumble, Andy Hedden touchdown run was probably the biggest play in his coaching career, because I think at that point everybody believed. I believed it. And I think it's similar this year. I think we have a chance. We have personnel on the defensive front. I think our defenses were probably overall a little bit better because we were always ranked around the top 12 in the league defensively. We always kept games. There was a string of games where we would win or lose 17-14 for years. We just didn't produce offensively, didn't have great quarterback play. Drafting a Simms was a big deal. Ends up being '86 Super Bowl MVP. And then just do it. So I think really we're at a point right now as we open camp, just stay healthy and get things going. But this ESPN poll having us at 27, I thought was kind of not really where we should be. The Falcons were the next team in front of us at 26. But, which has us basically drafting sixth. If the ESPN's right, we're going to probably have a new regime in drafting sixth. I just don't know. But remember this too. ESPN says we're there, and we are the second least amount of wins. So to me, I'm thinking of over 5.5 plus a quarter, depending on the Andrew Thomas health. Might be the first bet we'll give out today that we're going to go over the Giant team total, getting plus money. So we're going to be updating you throughout camp. We're excited to hear, see what's happening. Malik Neighbors was ranked as a top 7 wide receiver. Thought that was a very interesting play. That's probably the highest ranking receiver in Giants history. I don't think going into any season we've had any player. Maybe Plaxico Burress at the time, but I don't know. Coming off a Super Bowl year, might have been that in the top 10 in the league, but I never saw that ever ranked like that. I believe, the Giants also had in the top 100 players, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Malik Neighbors were the only 3 out of 100 that we had, which is, I guess, not bad, which is about average for what you should have if there's 32 teams and 100 players. So we're not looking really bad for that. And then, so we're basically, at this point, just ready for camp. Very interested to see it. We'll be taking notes and updating, watching the videos, listening to people who are close by. I don't think we're going to get there to camp this summer. Would have liked to, but not sure I'm going to be able to do that. Living here in South Florida, getting up to East Rutherford. But yeah, so we're gonna keep going, and let's just stay healthy and let's get production and let's see what happens. I would like to see Jackson Dart get a half in each game, hopefully staying healthy through that process, giving him a couple of shots with the ones. Maybe Jameis Winston plays a quarter and a half, give Russell Wilson a few series. I think they can accomplish all the time that they've spent, accomplish what they want to do. That's a quarterback play. I just want to have these running backs stay healthy. They gave out a 53-man roster, I think, are starting to come out of projections. They also had Scadaboo as one of their top 12 players on offense. I don't know if they're going to support Devin Singletary, but we think later in the year he could be running. So very, very interesting times now. Let's get ready for camp, and we'll go over there. Now, as far as last night baseball, I think we were on with Defoe. Very successful night. I think I gave him the Padres, which hung on to win 2-1, and the Brewers, which roll hot on 11 in a row now, and 5 in a row as an underdog. They win last night too, so we picked 2 on the show, which always makes us look good. No golf and tennis today, so we're going to go back to the baseball, and I'm going to give you a little quick rundown. The Marlins laying 117 with Cabrera and Kolek. You might want to see it. We gave out the Padres to, maybe a series play in that game. I think the Padres probably win tonight. I don't know that it's a bet. I like the Reds laying 131 after losing last night with Burns. Their young ace who can really bring it against Lord. Giants play the Braves. Really no play on that. I think the Giants are a small underdog. Cardinals with Fetty and Blaylock. Fetty's been getting destroyed. I might see a Rockies team total over or Rockies plus a half in the first 5 innings bet there. The Orioles and the Guardians tonight, Cantillo and Young. Don't really see much there. Yankee Schlitter pitched pretty well against Max Scherzer, so the young and the old. Saw a clip the other day where Randy Johnson was supposed to pitch against Greg Maddux, and both starters were dropped. And this is back in 2013 or 12 or something, maybe even earlier than that, maybe 2008. And then in those, they replaced the starters with Max Scherzer and Clayton Kershaw. The Diamondbacks brought in Scherzer and the Dodgers Kershaw. I thought that was very interesting. Vince Scully talking about how they go from the greatest veterans Hall of Famers to 2 guys making Scherzer his first start and Kershaw his 4th career start. So I thought that was an interesting little video we saw. Scherzer takes the hill against the Blue Jays, against the Yankees. Yankees desperate, down 4 games. I think I like them tonight. We're going to bounce back and take the Yankees plus 106. The White Sox, Martin against Rasmussen. He's the ace for the Rays. Again, the White Sox dominate last night. Don't think I would pull the trigger lane 213 with the Rays, although they had just lost I think they were 12-3 at home and lost, so it's a lean. DeGrom goes for Texas against Oakland. Probably would say Texas would be the side there after getting their bats going a little bit last night, putting up a 7 spot. Tigers, Mize against Keller. I kind of like the Pirates. The Tigers are not hitting Keller, who's been okay for them when he gets run support. I kind of like the Pirates in that game. Fitz and Phillies and Sanchez, he laying 187. Just don't know that I'd lay 187 against the Red Sox. Probably a pass. Freddie Montes against Kyle Hendricks. Probably would take the Mets lay 164 in that game. The Royals, Hill against Boyd. I probably would take the run line with Boyd, who's been fantastic throughout the year. Hill getting a spot start for the Royals. Cubs took it on the chin last night. I think they bounced back and won't lay 227, but lay 1.5. Valdez, the ace of the Astros against the Diamondbacks, against Rodriguez, 2 good lefties. I might look at under 8.5 in that game. Maybe the Astros. Great matchup up in Seattle. The young flamethrower Mizorowski against Gilbert. Mariners lay 119. You're getting 109 with the Brewers. Yes, he's a young star. Yes, he's all this. But I think I think Mizorowski, I got to ride him again to go to number 12. I would take the plus 109 with the Brewers. Then the game of the night, Yamamoto. I know I don't like to lay it. I'm going to lay the run line with Yamamoto, lay 1.5. He's pitched well against Woods Richardson, who they don't even let go to a third. I think they only let him pitch 2 times through the order. Only laying 210 with the Dodgers. I know the Twins have been struggling last night. Get a leadoff home run and don't score till 2 outs in the 9th inning or an out in the 9th inning. to lose 5-2 to the Dodgers. But the Dodgers aren't hitting. So under 8.5 might be a shot in this game, depending on the Twins bullpen. Last night, the Dodgers get home runs two from Smith, Otani, and Pegues, I believe, Paez. They only left 1 or 2 runners on base. I think Dodgers threw 6. We're up 3-1 and didn't have a runner left on base. Just an interesting game, so we'll go with the Dodgers. So the best bets tonight, we're going to take the Dodgers. We're going to go with the Rockies in the first 5 innings, plus a half a run. And I am going to go with the Reds. So those will be the 3 bets that we're going to pick today. And we're going to see you next week. Shorter podcast. Hopefully Giant news, good training camp. Everybody's staying healthy. Quarterbacks look good. We'll just go from there. So until next week, thanks, and go Big Blue.